Okay, hello. My name is Samudroprem of Awakening Psychology Academy. And I'd like to introduce today about the system we call CCT, which means Completing Childhood Therapies. So I've created a series of 9 experiential workshops and trainings that we can go very deeply into our own experience of our own childhood, but also very helpful for people who want to be parents, because to be a good parent, you have to understand what your parents have done for you. Now, there has been a tradition for many, many years, decades, of what's been called primal therapies. Primal therapies is a term back from the 1970s, when in the West, America and Europe, after Arthur Janov, he wrote a book called The Primal Scream. Primal means something at the beginning that has very deeply influenced us. Now that therapy is very deep therapy, and I have adjusted it slightly and call mine Reliving Childhood, or Reliving the Birth. So that's the first and perhaps the deepest experiential workshop, is reliving the childhood and the birth. We can feel again, not only in the mind, but in the emotions and in the body, how the memories of what happened to us as children, how it has affected who we have become. So we could base this actually on, we could say it's a Freudian concept, going back to the therapies, the concepts of Sigmund Freud, psychoanalysis, which we now call psychodynamic therapy. That as we're growing up through our childhood, we go through several stages of development. Some psychologies are focused on the cognitive development of the child, how the child learns to perceive the world, also how the senses grow as the body grows. But what we're looking in psychology and psychotherapy is how the personality develops, how the child goes through different stages of developing their personality. So, as very much in the common wisdom, we say that if you give me a child of 7 years, then I will give you the person. The first 7 years especially seem to be the most important of developing the personality, that the child will become a person, an adult, based on what happened to them in the first 7 years. Although I've been leading that workshop, Reliving Our Childhood, for 30, 40 years, I've also realized that one type of therapy of childhood is not enough. That our childhood is so important in the development of our personality, and it goes so deep into the foundation of our subconscious, that we need to approach this from many different angles. So now I've developed 9 different approaches. It's like a circle, not just a hierarchy of going from 1 to 9, but a circle of 9 workshops that can be joined at any time. So the first, although it doesn't have to be the first, but I usually consider it the first. The first, I call it the Reliving Childhood and Reliving the Birth. Then accompanying that, we also have a group called Born Again, which is basically a playing meditation. So I usually do that for 7 days. 7 days of going into the childhood, remembering, not only in the mind, but in the emotions and in the body, very physical, what happened to us in the first 7 years of life. And during the same 7 days, we also practice the Born Again meditation, which was developed by the spiritual master Osho. which is very much supporting the positive qualities of the child, the playfulness, the adventurousness, spontaneity, and the creativity. So that's like two groups in one. Very deep, working psychologically on seeing how our parents influenced us. Also, we're looking at some basic concepts of what are the natural qualities of a mother or a father, and what are the non-natural qualities, the mistakes our parents made. So we try to go back from about 7 years old, remembering generally what has happened in our whole childhood, our family home. Then we go back into what happened with our father especially, and then what happened with our mother especially. And throughout those 7 days we go back in those 7 years, and often people discover memories that have been very hidden, because we might enter the workshop with some conscious memories of what happened, good memories or bad memories, but often we consider those memories are like pictures. But the deeper memories are very much hidden in the unconscious, and that only comes through really experiencing a very experiential workshop. You can't just sit and think or just try to remember, because the mental level has been disconnected from our emotional level and our physical level. That's why we need such deep, long experiential workshops, that the group processes, the exercises help you release one layer and another layer and another layer. Often we say that the earliest memories are around about 4 years old. And that represents the borderline between our conscious, subconscious memories. So when we start the group, the first 2-3 days is about the earliest conscious memories. But the exercises help us then open up that division and go into the subconscious memories, which are very much hidden in the emotions, hidden in the body. Eventually, towards the end of the group, we're going into the birth memory. We have several exercises of reliving the birth. And this is something that primal therapy has also talked about, but not all primal therapies can manage to get there, is to really realistically remember or relive the actual birth. And it's quite miraculous, actually. Many people remember during the group, their emotions remember, their body remembers very interesting or difficult experiences of their birth. Some people had a difficult birth, some people had an easy birth. But as it's the beginning of our life, it's very deep foundation of who we will become. So we will also, after those deep experiences, we also analyze the connection between the memory of the birth and how we approach our daily life. What is a new beginning in our life? For example, a new job, or even just waking up in the morning. Any new project, anything that's new, how do we approach it? With fear, hesitation, perhaps we were afraid to be born, or we want to go straight into it, and it can also bring up aggressiveness. Some people are born aggressively, some people are born with fear, some people can't do anything, they're just waiting for someone else to do it for them. So sometimes cesarean section babies are people in adulthood, they're just waiting for someone else to do things for them. But it's experiential. We will first try and find out for ourselves what we experience, then we understand. Not the other way, not try to understand and then experience. So it's first we have to experience, go through the exercises, then we understand how it works or how it's connected to who we've become and how that affects our daily life. Then we go even further back into the 9 months of pregnancy. And it's not always as peaceful as we assume. What did our mother experience for 9 months? Was she relaxed and peaceful? Was she afraid? And those are the deepest levels of our conditioning. They are like the basic foundations of our life. And then in that workshop, we end with the conception, the very beginning of this life. And for some people, that also is a very significant moment. Now, it seems inconceivable that right now, as grown adults, that we can remember the first 4 years, the birth, or even the conception. But having gone through that process for 1 week, I think all participants, or 90% at least, really feel they have achieved real memories of those forgotten years. And intuitively, they understand how those early years have affected who they've become. Also very important is that then that influences how they behave with other people, but also very important, it influences how they are as parents themselves. So for those people who want to join the therapies, not only for their own personal experience and personal transformation, but they want to become better parents, this workshop also very helpful to find out how you have experienced your childhood, how your parents influenced you, will be stored inside your unconscious, and that will be triggered by your own children. So the first most important thing of learning how to be a good parent, or to be what I would call a new parent, is to first remember realistically, not just from the mind, but deep from your emotions, your body, really reveal from your unconscious the real memories of what your parents have done to you. You understand that now, so you don't need to repeat the same mistakes to your children. And to also learn what are the more positive and natural qualities of a parent. Now, it might be impossible to be the perfect parent, but we can be the most natural that we can and provide the best beginning of life for our own children. Okay. That's good.